Let's talk about the first thing you're going to want to do when it comes to purchasing a home, and that's going to be to get pre-qualified. Now, the reason you want to get pre-qualified first is so that you know how much of a home you can afford, and then also what your monthly mortgage payment will be. Part of the reason you want to get the pre-qualification done first rather than house shopping first is because if you do fall in love with the home you find, the pre-qualification process could take a couple days or a couple weeks depending on your circumstance. And you don't want to fall in love with a home and then end up losing it because you weren't ready and pre-qualified. Another reason to get pre-qualified first is here in the state of Arizona, our purchase contract does require that a buyer submit a pre-qualification form with any offer they give to a seller. Now, the only way you can get this pre-qualification form is from a lender. So again, to even submit an offer on a home, you're going to need to be fully pre-qualified. Now, the pre-qualification process can take anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks. A lot of that does depend on the borrower and how quickly they can get their documentation over to a lender. However, if you're somebody that maybe has some issues with credit, or you're not sure where your credit score is, or there's been gaps in employment history, you might need longer than that. So this is why I do recommend if you're within about 3 to 6 months of wanting to purchase a home, that's going to be your best time to get in touch with a lender and start the pre-qualification process. Some of the things that lenders look at in order to get you pre-qualified are what your income is, any debt you might have, what your credit score is, and then proof of your down payment. Something else to be aware of is what's called a pre-approval. Now, this is different than a pre-qualification form. I know some states might use a pre-approval, but here in the state of Arizona, we use a pre-qualification form. Now, the difference in my experience is that a pre-approval just means that the buyer had spoke with somebody, a lender or a bank, and based on that conversation, they got pre-approved. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that buyer had given any documentation to the lender. So the lender is really just taking somebody's word and based on that pre-qualifying them or pre-approving them for an amount, but they have no proof that this person makes any money or what their credit is or any debt they might have. When it comes to finding a lender, your best bet is going to be to check with your realtor. The reason I say this is because there's a good chance your realtor has worked with plenty of lenders and they have probably picked one or two that they know does a great job and that they recommend for their clients. I know here in Arizona I have an awesome lender that's local and I refer most of my clients to her as well, and I will include her information below. You always have the option to work with a bigger bank as well. In my experience, people typically aren't as happy with the big banks. The communication's not as good as compared to a local lender. And plus, the local lenders do have comparable rates and sometimes have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to the type of loans or loan programs that they provide. I sure hope this video was helpful in guiding you to the first step when it comes to purchasing a home. If you have any further questions regarding pre-qualifying or anything real estate related, please feel free to reach out. I would love to help.